What's going on YouTube? Welcome to another episode of your Daily Dose. And today we're going to be looking at the Godfather of Green Lanes. Now Green Lanes is a main road in North London. It's one of the longest streets in the capital, covering a distance of 6.3 miles between Newington Green and Winchmore Hill. It's very close to Turnpike Lane and Wood Green. The area was once rife with violence between Turkish and Kurdish gangs and suffered from its reputation for drug dealing on the streets. Now, although the streetscape is still shabby, it has become quite safe. The year is 2006. Drugs baron Abdullah Baybasin faces a 22-year jail sentence after being convicted in London earlier this year. He is the latest member of the Baybasin family to be locked up in Europe. His brother Hussein, once described as Europe's Pablo Escobar, is in a Dutch prison. For years, their name struck terror in the hearts of many people in London's Turkish and Kurdish communities. In the 1970s, the clan began refining heroin in remote farmhouses in the Leeds district, close to the Syrian border. By 1998, they were making millions of pounds from exporting heroin to Europe. Hussein Baybasin, known as Europe's Pablo Escobar, set himself up a business in Amsterdam. His brother Abdullah had arrived in Britain via Gibraltar in 1997. Abdullah, who uses a wheelchair after being shot by a rival, immediately claimed asylum, and in recent weeks there have been reports in the British press that he was given preferential treatment because he was an informant for customs and excise. Once in London, Abdullah recruited a gang of young thugs known as the Bombers, who spread fear throughout the Turkish and Kurdish community. The Bombers would force their way into shops and small businesses armed with weapons demanding money. On one occasion, a gang of up to 20, armed with samurai swords, metal bars, pool cues and a gun, forced their way into a Turkish cafe in Stoke Newington. One man had his index finger chopped off by the gang and several shots were fired. Shopkeepers, cafe owners and other small businesses received death threats, and some paid up to $10,000 a year to the extortionists. In 2002, a mass brawl broke out in Green Lanes and Alisan Dogan was killed. When police tried to enter the nondescript terrace house in Green Lanes, northeast London, they soon realised it was no ordinary family home. The front door was so well fortified, the officers had to smash a hole in the wall, break down 2 heavy metal gates, and knock through a triple glazed window to get in. Upstairs, they broke through a soundproof 4-inch thick door and found a torture chamber. 2 large black metal hooks had been screwed into the ceiling and wired to the mains. Victims would be suspended and beaten between electric shocks. For years, Baybasin had ensured he was never in the same room as the smallest quantity of drugs in case of a police raid. But in 2001, he became too closely involved in a deal, and that began his downfall. Detectives hid a tiny camera and microphone in the office behind the Green Lane Sports Club, which Baybasin was operating. The watchers say it was like spying on scenes from The Godfather. Scotland Yard stepped up efforts to gather intelligence on the Baybasins, and in 2003, they carried out a series of raids and arrested several people. Guns, machetes, stolen mobile phones, and counterfeit money were seized, and police also discovered what they believed to be a torture chamber. The legal process began, and last month 6 members of Abdullah Baybasin's gang were jailed for a total of 68 years after pleading guilty to offences involving guns, violence, extortion and blackmail. 2 of his thugs were convicted of the attempted murder of a Turkish man on the forecourt of a petrol station in Tottenham in 2003. Erdal Osman, 25, from Wood Green, was jailed for 15 years, and Ibrahim Aslan, 21, of no fixed address, got 13 years. Kamal Armagan, feared leader of the Hackney bombers, was assaulted by a member of the rival Tottenham boys in a snooker hall in 2009. It was a humiliating public show of disrespect between North London's Turkish mafia. The hot-headed Armagan shouted that he was going to kill those who attacked him. The subsequent gang war has seen 10 murders and more than 30 violent incidents from North London to southern Turkey. Beytullah Gunduz, 28, recruited one of the assassins for the hit on 34-year-old Zafer Eren, a leading member of the Tottenham Turks, on his doorstep in Southgate, North London. The hitman, known as Freddy, after Nightmare on Elm Street character, was jailed for 38 years for murdering the gang boss. Jamie Marsh Smith, 23, known as Freddy, was hired to kill Zafer Eren of the Tottenham Turks gang by rival Hackney Turks. Days after the murder, in April, Marsh Smith of Manor House, North London, then tried to kill his getaway driver and co-defendant, Samuel Zareh. Zareh suffered gunshot wounds in Markfield Park in Tottenham, but survived the attack and managed to text his brother to alert him to who had shot him. Mr. Eren was allegedly gunned down in revenge for the killing of Ali Armagan, a leading member of the rival Hackney Turks. In March 2009, innocent shopkeeper Ahmet Paytak, 50, was shot dead at Euro Food and Wines in Hornsey Road, Holloway, by a hitman hired by the Hackney Turks. In October 2009, Tottenham gang member Oktay Erbasili was shot and killed while driving in Tottenham. Mr. Erbasili, who ran a pound store in Tottenham, was killed by a hitman on a high-powered motorcycle, thought to be a Honda Blackbird or Suzuki, who pulled up alongside him and opened fire at around 4 p.m. on Friday. The victim's girlfriend, who was in the passenger seat, and her young boy, who was in the back seat, were unhurt. 3 days later, the Tottenham Turks took revenge with the shooting of 21-year-old Sem Duzgun at a social club frequented by Hackney Turk members in Upper Clapton Road. Sem Duzgun died in a hail of bullets sprayed into a Turkish social club in Hackney, East London. The young clothing store worker was playing pool with a friend when a gunman fired an Uzi-style machine gun from the doorway. Mr. Duzgun was hit 11 times in total. 4 men were later convicted for his murder. One of the suspects, Yusuf Arslan, has a history of carrying submachine guns. A dangerous gunman who opened fire on 2 men in Tottenham using a submachine gun has been jailed indefinitely. Yusuf Arslan, from Edmonton, targeted the 2 men as they drove down Lansdowne Road in Tottenham just before midnight. He blocked their path with a silver Vauxhall Corsa before firing at the pair as they sat in their vehicle. One of them was shot in the arm. Arslan, described by police as a dangerous individual, fled the scene, but officers from Operation Trident, the Met's specialist unit for gun crime, tracked him down and he was arrested a week later. He denied any knowledge of the shooting and was released on bail while investigations continued. Despite being under investigations by police, Arslan was stopped by police in Ferry Lane near Tottenham Hale Station and found with another gun and wearing a bulletproof vest. The pair had been trailed by police after leaving a Walthamstow massage parlour in a taxi booked using false names and had asked the driver to chauffeur them across different locations in Tottenham. Suspicious they were being followed, Arslan threw a bag from the car window, which was later found to contain a loaded snub-nose revolver. A pair of gloves were also found in the car, suggesting to officers that they had intercepted a violent plot that could have led to someone being killed. Arslan, who denied attempted murder and possessing firearms with intent, was later jailed for a minimum of 10 years. The judge said he would not be released until it was decided he no longer presented a danger to the public. Kamal Eren, 24, a Tottenham gang leader involved in drugs, violent crime and antisocial behaviour, has been banned from large parts of the borough. He has been banned from associating with 17 named people, from threatening or intimidating people and from entering a designated area of Tottenham. Kamal Eren was shot and he later on fled to Turkey.